The AtGames Atari 50th Flashback is here, but how does it differ from the models that preceded it, and how easy is it to mod? Let's take a look. First off, I want to thank AtGames for giving us an opportunity to review this console. It's not the first one we've looked at, you know. And I know what you're thinking. Do we really need another one of these? But hey, again, we've looked at so many different Flashback consoles, and there's been adjustments and variations made with every release. And okay, before you say,
why don't you just go buy a Raspberry Pi? Then you'd have all the games, and Nintendo and Sega.
We've been seeing Flashbacks drop for about 20 years now, and you know, I have really enjoyed collecting these things. I can't be the only one. Some of these have even gone up in value. In my opinion, they've been a lot of fun to collect. I guess you could collect Raspberry Pis if you wanted to, but after the first one, there probably isn't much intrigue beyond that. Anyway, we're going to see how they did with the Atari 50th Flashback unit. Let's get this thing unboxed real quick. Come on. We've got the console, which like the 10 model, has vastly improved cosmetics from its predecessors. And we have commemorative gold switches on this one to set it further apart. It includes an HDMI cable and instructions, and maybe even more importantly, a power supply. Because other mini consoles have really cheaped out in this department in the past by assuming you already own cables and power supplies that are compatible. You get 2 wired controllers, and honestly, they've always been really good quality. They don't feel or look cheap at all. And we finally got compatible paddles packed in. The 9 console did not have these, and the 10 didn't even have a gold version. Now that we've assessed the contents, it's time to take this thing for a test drive. So here we go, the Atari 50 Flashback, technically the Flashback 11. You know, the menu screen has the same music we've had on past Flashbacks, and that's fine. It's almost something that takes me to a happy place at this point, because we've had a lot of fun with these consoles, looking at them over the years. The emulation on the newer AtGames products, actually pretty good. I mean, I do want to talk about the controls though. Atari veterans will find these joysticks much looser, and for me, that's where muscle memory starts compromising my performance. This isn't unique to this unit either. The past Flashbacks have been the same way, but as with past Flashbacks, you can use an original Atari 2600 controller, and that authentic feel really works for me. Great option. The tightness of the stick puts me back in a comfort zone where I won't constantly overcorrect. You do, however, give up some modern quality of life benefits the new controller provides you. The face buttons on the Flashback joystick provide access to the various features, and this access makes it worth just getting used to the new joystick. You can access the rewind feature with the touch of a button, which in this new age of mini consoles is something that's very popular with modern retro gamers. And of course, save states, which honestly, that's less important on Atari games than it is on other consoles, given these aren't exactly 80-hour RPGs or anything, but it's still great to have. I mean, you never know when you're going to have to step away from a game. And of course, there's the option to turn scan lines on, if that's what you're into. Now this Atari Flashback Gold comes with 130 built-in games, a step up from the 120 we've seen in past iterations. But if your intent is to fully mod these things, that stat becomes a little less relevant. There are some fun games included, but nothing licensed. I mean, no Space Invaders, no Donkey Kong, no Pac-Man, which is why we really have to mod these to understand their true, real potential. And we're going to get into that real soon. Now with the last gold console, you got wireless controllers. That was a big plus, right, to getting the gold version over the regular version. Well, now with this gold version, you're getting wired controllers, but you are getting paddles, something we did not have with the Flashback 9 Gold, because apparently the paddles were not compatible with the emulator being used. At least that was the refrain being sung. Now that said, there are issues with these paddles, and I gotta say, they're a lot less detectable to me because, I don't know, back in the day I didn't use paddles, I just used the joysticks for everything. Our good friend Gen X John at Gen X Grownup has done considerable research on the situation, and I'll link his video right here, describing the inconsistencies. Apparently the input isn't true analog, but I don't know how many people will honestly be affected by these differences. What I'm saying is, it isn't a deal breaker. In the same breath, I'm not trying to downplay it. This is the third console now to not stick a landing on the paddle situation, but to echo John's sentiments, I hope a future firmware update could set things a little straighter for those that actually have the muscle memory movement issues with these paddles. If I have a gripe with this unit, it's gotta be that there are no wireless joysticks included, and this is the gold edition. Looking back at the Atari Flashback 4, they included them then, with paddles, but it wasn't HDMI. Fast forward to the 9, well, it had them and HDMI, but no compatible paddles. Fast forward to today, we have HDMI, we have paddles, we can mod these things, but there's no wireless joysticks with this set. For this thing to succeed, to be the granddaddy of them all, it really had to be the culmination of all previous flashbacks. It had to do everything, right? It had to be the epitome of what all the flashbacks had offered in the ways of amenities in the past. We needed to see HDMI. We need to be able to mod it. We've got to see paddles, and we've got to see wireless joysticks in the gold edition. All those things together are what justify the now higher price tag as we move along in models, which is expected. We just got to make sure we're not going backward instead of forward in any aspect. Again, a lot good can be said about this unit. Quality you can really feel, and the emulation is really great. In a market full of mini consoles that are absolute Cadillacs when it comes to performance and looks, this unit definitely secures its place in the lineup. Retail price is hovering right around $120 for one of these, which honestly isn't horrible. Especially, again, if you're collecting mini consoles like I am. Now, it may be a harder sell to some of you that have already got some of the past models of these flashbacks, ones that are already modded. You're already set, right, for the games that you need to play. But again, if you're about your mini consoles the way I'm about my mini consoles, this is a really good looking specimen to add to your lineup, especially if you don't have one of these that looks like this. Now remember, to get this thing to reach its full potential, we've got to get it modded, right? We've got to get some games added to it. We've got to get the update done to it. And to do those things, we've got to get some preparation made. We've got to make sure that we have what we need. You're going to need an additional cable to do this, all right? It's only going to cost you a couple of bucks. I'm going to put a link to this cable in the description of this video so you can go ahead and get you one coming and get ready to do this. You're also going to need a thumb drive, 16 gigs or smaller. We're going to keep in line with the rules that we used on the SD cards to mod the previous models, okay? This is not going to be extremely complicated, but we are going to get this done step by step. I'm glad to have this thing. I mean, I wouldn't have passed on it. It's got gold switches if you gotta have the one with the gold switches on it. But yeah, either way, man, there's cool stuff that can be done with this thing. We are gonna mod this thing in a follow-up episode. I want to thank our friends at AtGames for giving us an opportunity to take a look at this console and review it right here on the show. Really have had a lot of fun with their products. I want to continue to do that. I hope you're gonna join me for each and every episode. Make sure you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the Emceemur Show if you have not already done so. Signing off for this fantabulous review. I'll see each and every one of you again on the next one.